Hi everybody, this is Shane R. Monroe, and today we are going to install the much maligned, much hated EA app to allow you to install electronic art games as non-Steam games. First, we're going to download the EAappInstaller, and we're going to save that to our downloads. We're pretty much done with the browser at this point, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of this guy. EA's app has been a real thorn in the side for Steam Deck owners. Hopefully this will be the last time we have to go through this ritual, but I wanted you guys to have brand new information for 2023. So inside of Steam, we're going to add a non-Steam game. We're going to go ahead and browse to our download folder where we downloaded the EAinstaller. Make sure you change your file type to all files, otherwise you're not going to see the file. And there's our EAappInstaller.exe. Click Add Selected Programs. Now we're going to filter on Installed Locally to get rid of all my other games. And you can see that the EAappInstaller.exe entry is here. We're going to go ahead and open up Dolphin, and we're going to go over to our CompatData folder. We're going to need this soon, so I figured we'd start off with this. This is the location. There'll be a link in the description below, and we're going to sort it by modified date so we can see what folder this installer makes as we're doing it. Click the gear, go to Properties. We're going to change our compatibility to use Proton Experimental. This is the only one that currently works with EA games, so we're going to use Proton Experimental for this. We're going to go ahead and hit play and run it for the first time. All right, as you can see up here, a new folder has been made just now, 3195517 blah blah blah. That folder is the Proton prefix folder for EA's app. So we're going to go ahead and just keep that right there. We're going to need it in just a minute. We'll let EA finish its convoluted install process. Okay. On first run, you're probably going to get this weird error message. And this is normal. It seems to happen to everybody. Just hit Restart App and the problem will go away. All right, we're going to go ahead and sign in with our credentials now. And we'll leave ourselves signed in. Okay. And now the EA app should eventually, whenever they get around to it, go ahead and load up. And we can check out to make sure that this is indeed our account. And when you're trying to exit out of here, you hit the X. There's no way to get out of this thing. It seems like it does not want to quit no matter what you do. If you go down to the icon on the taskbar, then you can actually close it from here. I don't know why that is. It's just the way that it is. Okay, so now if we look inside of our drive C here in our Proton folder, oh, it's not in there. It's probably under regular program data. Okay, there we go. And nope, not there. We'll keep digging. It's in here somewhere. There we go. Program files, and you can find Electronic Arts and EA Desktop. Here is where the launcher itself lives inside of this Proton prefix. So let's find the actual exe, make sure it's in here, EALauncher.exe, and let's copy that whole path to our clipboard. We're not going to use the installer anymore. We're going to actually just run the launcher from here. So we're going to go to Properties. We're going to hit Browse, and we're going to paste in that location and hit Open. Now we're going to find the EALauncher.exe. Now we're no longer pointing to the installer executable. We're actually pointing to the launcher executable. Now, instead of actually running the installer over and over again, we're going to be running the actual launcher itself. So we'll do one more quick verification here and make sure that it's good before we move on. Okay, we are in the EA launcher. Everything looks good to go. So now I'm going to use a Steam mount command. I've already got one set up for Overwatch, so I'm just going to cut and paste it. It'll be in the description down below as well. This is going to give us mount access over to our SD card, our micro SD card, because that's where most people are going to want to install the full games, right? So if you have a different location, another external drive, you might have to replace that text there. But for the most part, people are going to want to install this on their SD card. So we're going to go ahead and go through the process of installing something on the micro SD card. That Steam mount command that we just pasted in there will allow us to do just that. Don't worry, for those of you who are looking for how to install it internally, we're going to cover that as well. A couple extra steps involved with that, but we'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so now that we've relaunched the EA app using the Steam mount command, we should now be able to install Titanfall externally on our micro SD card. Now, this is going to C, and there's 63 gigabytes. A lot of people don't have that much free space, right? So installing it on C, which is actually your Proton prefix folder, that's not a good place to put it, right? That's going to put it right here inside of your CompatData folder, inside of that Proton prefix, right? Inside of here, Proton prefix C drive. This is where it's going to put it, is in here on your internal storage if you don't change the location of the install, right? C drive means something different here. So we're going to go ahead and install it on the micro SD card where we actually have some space. And so what you're looking for here is it may mount it on a drive for you. I wouldn't use that. I would just simply go to the home path here, the root, go to run, go to media, go to your drive, and then pick the folder you want to put it in. I'm just going to put it in my high Cs folder. There you go. Now it's mounted, it shows it as D. It may show it as a different drive. I wouldn't worry about that. You'll also notice that it shows you here that it's going to install these additional runtimes along with it. Handy to know in the future. So we're going to we're not going to do the full install here. We'll do a full install when we go internally, but if this was what you were looking to do, then you're kind of done, right? But let's move on to doing this on the internal drive instead. So let's go ahead and cancel that. We're not going to do a full install out to the micro SD card because we're still going to do an install to the internal storage. Let's go ahead and exit out of the EA app. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe if we create a folder internally called games, right? So what if we copied this into the Steam mount command? Replace the micro SD card and put this in the Steam mount command. You would think that this might actually work, and it kind of makes sense, right? You're going to mount some other location where you could install the game. And I wasn't going to leave this in, but I thought it was worthwhile information. You could skip ahead if this doesn't interest you, but I'll show you why this doesn't work. So we'll wait for EA to do its thing. The problem seems to be some sort of artificial limitation as to how big something can install when you're installing a non-Steam game via Proton. And check this out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the location, and we're going to navigate again straight to the location we were just talking about. Now see, it still shows D over here still mounted, which is kind of weird. But let's go ahead and go to our internal home, deck, and games. This is where we want to install it, right? Well, we can't. It says there's no space. There's only 7.23 gigabytes free. Now, I know, and you probably know, I have more than 7.23 gigabytes free on this drive. So I should be able to install it here, but for some reason, you can't. So what we're going to have to do is come up with a more unique solution for installing this game internally. So let's do that now. So we're going to go ahead and install Titanfall 2 right to the C drive where it wanted. Now remember, that's going to go in the Proton folder, right? It's going to go into this CompatData Proton folder on this fake drive C. That's okay. It's fine to go there for now. So let's go ahead and let that install now. And it's going to end up showing up right here in EA Games. And we'll be able to, this is a hypothesis we can test, right? So let's go ahead and install this game now. So it's going to install on your quote C drive inside the Proton prefix that was created for the EA app. Now, what that doesn't really allow you to do though is separate the EA app from the game itself. So if you were to delete the EA app and want to put it on later or whatever, it would nuke that game along with it. We don't necessarily want that. In the meantime though, while we're waiting for this download to happen, we can actually do a little bit of work. So let's jump over here, and you can see now Titanfall 2 is indeed installing in the EA Games folder. We're going to split Dolphin into 2 windows, and we are going to prepare for the next step of the equation, which is we are going to navigate to Home, Deck, Games, right? This is where we really want Titanfall 2. We want Titanfall 2 in a Games folder, not stuck inside a Proton prefix somewhere, so we can keep track of things. All right, so we're going to go ahead and speedy the last of this install up because we don't want to sit here and yap. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, in my next video about EA App, I'm going to show you, as I did with the GOG video, we're going to reuse the Proton prefix that's holding the EA app, and we're going to be able to make standalone game launchers for each of the games contained within. But it's really hard to do when all the games are stuffed inside the Proton prefix, right? So, okay, so the install is done. It is sitting on our internal storage, but it's stuck inside the Proton prefix. See, there's all the files. What we really want to do is move it over to this games folder. So as soon as we move this, we're going to cut it and paste it, right? We're going to cut it and paste it. And at this moment in time, right now, as soon as we paste it, it's broken. If you were to try to launch Titanfall 2 right now, it'd fail because it's not there anymore. We moved it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this path and we're going to create a symlink right here. We're going to create a fake folder that points to the other folder. Link to file or directory, paste in the directory we want to link it to, but we have to name it exactly the same as it was before, which is Titanfall 2. So now we have a symlink. If that CompatData folder went away, our Titanfall 2 install is safe and sound over here on the Home Deck Games folder. Right? So this should technically all work. Pretty clever, and we can use this same process over and over again to fake out other games too. But for now, what we really need to do is test it and make sure it works. But let's do it from gaming mode. We're going to go ahead and exit the EA app, and you may want to go ahead and reboot. Something weird about EA, if you run it in desktop mode and then flip to gaming mode, it doesn't seem to want to run. And I don't know if it's leaving something behind. I don't know. I did a full reboot, so I recommend you do that too. We're going to go into the EA app in gaming mode, and if everything works out well, we should get presented with the EA app menu. Again, when it decides to get around to it. There we go. Okay, looking pretty good so far, but what we really need to do is run Titanfall 2 and make sure it works after our little symlink trickery. So we'll let EA do its thing. This is ridiculous, right? I would never have believed if you had said you would love to have the Origin launcher back. I would not have thought so. Okay, let's go ahead and launch Titanfall 2. And let's make sure it works. Yay, it works. Sweet. Okay, well, there you have it. The EA app's installed. We've separated our game. You can install it internal, external, your choice. I like to save it external, but I know a lot of people bought the more expensive units so that you can keep everything internal. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Please, you guys know the drill. It means everything to us. Please like, subscribe, share it, leave a comment. Even if it's a negative comment, I appreciate your feedback. I'm Shane R. Monroe. As always, thanks so much for watching, and take care.